Charlotte, what's going on, Charlotte? I'm going to read that super chat shortly. Shout out to Christian West. Slimmy, we got a conversation that we got to have about Kung Fu Kenny. I haven't heard the euphoria diss yet, but a lot of people telling me that it's very, very mid and it's not living up to expectations. We gonna get there, Slimmy. Charlotte, what is happening over in Charlotte? I'm hearing that 8 officers were ambushed, hit when they went to serve a warrant. We gonna get into the story shortly. 8 officers were hit. Cultivator, you said I missed your all right, hold on. Wait. I got you. Let me get the Cultivator. Cultivator, I'm going to read that super chat shortly, Cultivator. I got you, big dog. I didn't forget about you. I got you. Charlotte, what the heck is going on? We got to bring y'all to the front of the congregation? Y'all can't get y'all city in order? Y'all can't get y'all city in order. 4 officers killed, 4 wounded. When I have these conversations on here and I say, listen, our police officers don't get enough appreciation. They don't get enough love. We always talking about what's happening in the community, but we don't uphold and show appreciation to the people that put their lives on the line every single day to make sure that we safe. Let's get into it, man. We got to deep dive into it. We're not going to hold off. We're not going to waste no more time. I had this coming on later, but I wanted to go ahead and get into this and have a conversation. This is one of the officers that was killed, Joshua Iyer. Check it out, y'all.
Breaking tonight, a 4th officer has died after being shot while serving a warrant in East Charlotte today. In all, 8 officers were shot in the operation. Within the last 15 minutes, we learned the names of 2 more of the officers who were killed. Sam Peloche and Alden Elliott were both 14-year veterans of the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction. Charlotte's police chief identified his fallen officer as Joshua Iyer. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Ashley Rope. The U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, along with local police, were serving that warrant. The police chief says the suspect used a high-powered rifle to shoot at the officers. Tonight, we're learning more about the members of the U.S. Marshal Service that died, including a deputy marshal and 2 members of the task force from the North Carolina Department of Corrections.
Reading that super chat shortly.
Heard Gerald talk about. 4 other officers are still being treated. WRAL has team coverage of this tragic shooting from Charlotte to right here at home. And we begin with WRAL's Monica Casey live in Charlotte as we learn more tonight about those who have been killed.
Yeah, Ashley, police still have a lot of this East Charlotte neighborhood inaccessible right now. They are focusing their investigation on a house that's further back behind me, and this is the closest we can get right now. We have learned the suspect who was the subject of the search warrant was killed. He was a 39-year-old man named Terry Clark Hughes.
They bussin'.
Rissa Rain captured this video of the standoff between law enforcement and suspects inside a home on Galway Drive.
Honestly, it's like something out of a movie.
She tells me she was late picking up her children from school because she couldn't get out of her neighborhood.
The SWAT went through about 3 rounds of shooting, 15 minutes. Shooting, 30 minutes. And then the last time was when everything ended. I saw the snipers walking back. So I'm like, oh, they must be done now.
NBC News obtained this Facebook video of the shooting. That series of rapid gunfire left neighbors here shaken hours later.
It's really scary to be in this environment.
The house across the street from me, the back of it got hit by a couple stray bullets. And I woke up to sounded like a war and just kind of tried to figure out what was going on at that point.
One deputy U.S. Marshal was killed. 2 members of the North Carolina Department of Correction, who were also members of the Marshals Fugitive Task Force, were also killed. Sam Peloche leaves behind a wife and 2 children. Alden.
A wife and 2 children. Gosh. Do y'all know that these is people too? I don't know if y'all think that the uniform then doesn't make them people for some reason. A wife and 2 children left behind. Now a widow. A widow. Gosh. every day that y'all go outside, I remember when, and I'm not a police officer, so I'm never even going to remotely put myself in the same conversation or the category. But, even being visible, I remember when I would go outside or I would leave or I would go out of town. And every single time that I would go out of town, before I left out the door, my wife would sit there and my wife and my daughter would come together and they would both put their hands on me and they would pray for me and they would pray that the Lord keep me safe. And of course, we take all of the necessary precautions. So, I got security with me and I got security flying with me. And, these guys is like the freaking Secret Service. And we spend a lot of money. Part of my budget every single year is for security services. It's to make sure that I'm safe, that my family is safe, that the people around me are safe when they're with me, and all of that, right? Because you only got one chance, and it only takes one chance to slip up. I'm not a police officer, and they're worried about me because obviously they want to make sure that I'm taken care of, and they want me to get home safely. These guys go out and they put their life on the line every single day. They put their life on the line every single day. And they have wives and children that don't even know if they're going to make a traffic stop or serve a warrant and if they're going to wind up coming home or if they're going to get that phone call that say, hey, man, we got a flag that we got to deliver to the house. Some monster has taken out your husband and your kids is going to be widowed. And that's just the end of the conversation. All for what? $50,000 starting sometimes, $60,000 starting sometimes, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. These are the people that's a part of our community, and we've weaponized the fact that, or we've created this myth that these very same people, a lot of them actually grew up in our community, went to our high schools. They grew up in our community. They went to our high schools. They're serving the very communities that they live in. Because they put on the uniform, all of a sudden they become the enemy. And we don't hold the people in our community accountable. Y'all quick to hold the police officers accountable, but y'all don't hold the people in the community accountable. You know why you don't hold the people in the community accountable? Because you don't truly care about the community. You know who the fentanyl dealers are. You know who pushing the drugs. You know who's selling the guns. You know who out here making it unsafe. You know who got a bunch of pit bulls in their backyard that's going to eventually get loose and maul one of the children. We know about all of the bad things, but we go against the very people that protect us, and we have no love. This type of stuff gets no coverage. Let somebody knee on somebody's neck or somebody do a scam or something like that, people going to be all over it. Celebrity news, Diddy, all of this stuff. But let a police officer, 4 of them, 8 of them hit, 4 of them is dead, and it gets no visibility and nobody talks about it at all. It's not popular. It's not popular to talk about.
Elliot leaves behind a wife and 1 child. Both men were 14-year Department of Adult Correction veterans. Charlotte Mecklenburg police officer Joshua Iyer was also killed. He leaves behind his wife Ashley and 3-year-old son Andrew.
And 2 women who were in that house have been taken into custody. The police chief says one of them is 17 years old. In Charlotte, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
I'm Lena Tillett in the WRAL Live Center, and we're getting brand new video just showing how frightening that shootout was between the suspects in the home and police officers who responded. Officers will tell you it's always a dangerous endeavor to serve a warrant knowing that there are weapons in the home. But this brand new video tonight just shows the barrage of gunfire that was coming toward these officers. This video is coming from a neighbor's home. They were watching from their home as you see the officers here clearly in a defensive position, shooting and being shot at. Take a listen. That is just incredible to hear. Some witnesses saying that it felt like they were seeing a war, a battle play out. Governor Cooper was in Charlotte. Unclear if he went as a result of this shooting or if he was there for some other event. But we had learned from a spokesperson that he planned to meet with victims, family members, and the governor also spoke tonight. Take a listen.
It reminds us of the fact that these officers every day when they go out, whether they walk up to a car, whether they serve a warrant, violence can happen to them. And this was a brutal attack on these officers who were merely trying to serve a warrant.
Absolutely a brutal attack. The governor, one of many public officials, sending their condolences to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, as well as a number of local law enforcement coming together to share their wishes, well wishes for the department. Julian Grace joining us now live in Raleigh with that part of the story. Julian.
Yeah, Lena, moments after that shooting was confirmed, support started pouring in all across the state for the officers and also for their families.
This tragedy happened in one Charlotte neighborhood. 4 officers dead, 4 officers injured, and a state in grief.
Shortly after confirmation of the deaths and injuries, statements started popping up. This one from Governor Roy Cooper, who shared he's in contact with law enforcement in Charlotte and has offered up state resources. Wake County Sheriff Willie Rowe weighed in, sharing his department is ready to assist and provide assistance to Charlotte PD. And then we received this statement from Raleigh Police Chief Estella Patterson, who previously spent more than 25 years with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. She said in part, quote, "As a former member of the CMPD, my heart breaks for the department and for the loss of the 3 task force members of the U.S. Marshals Service." Then Back the Blue NC created this GoFundMe. The organization supports the families of fallen officers, and the funds for this GoFundMe will support the Charlotte families left behind. Even if you can't donate, organizers of Back the Blue NC says there is still something we all can do.
And the main thing that you can do, every single person, when you're out there and you see an officer, stop them and say thank you. You would not believe how far that goes to that officer. You will make that officer's day. You could make that officer's week, and possibly, depending on the last time someone thanked him, you may make that officer's month.
Showing appreciation can go such a long way. Now, Back the Blue NC hopes to raise about $250,000 for those families. Reporting in downtown Raleigh, Julian Grace, WRAL News.
Just not enough. $250,000 for the families of 4 people that just got killed, not even close to being enough. And all of the friends and the family that was associated with him and all of his co-workers that'll never see these people again, it's insane, man. This is the house. Apparently, this is the aftermath of the house of where the law enforcement officers was trying to serve a warrant.
Attention all units. Attention all units. On behalf of Chief Jennings, I regrettably announce the end of watch for Officer Joshua Iyer. Please keep Officer Iyer's family, wife Ashley, 3-year-old son Andrew, his parents, and North Tryon Division family in your prayers.
A final radio call made for Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officer Joshua Iyer. He's one of 4 law enforcement officers killed in a shooting yesterday. The other 3 were members of a U.S. Marshals task force. 2 of them identified as officers from the State Department of Corrections, Samuel Peloche and William Elliott. The identity of the deputy U.S. Marshal who died, though, has not been released.
4 other law enforcement officers were also hurt in that shooting. We do know at least one Charlotte-Mecklenburg officer is in critical condition. It all started yesterday when the task force went to a home in Charlotte to serve a warrant. The suspect was identified overnight as Terry Hughes Jr. He was wanted on 2 charges out of Lincoln County, which is just northwest of Charlotte: possession of a firearm by a felon and felony flee to elude arrest. Police say he shot at officers as they approached the home. Members of the task force fired back, hitting and killing him. Police say a second person in the home began firing at officers as well. There was a 3-hour standoff that ended with 2 people leaving the home and being taken in for questioning.
People in the Charlotte area still trying to wrap their mind around the violence and the tragedy. Condolences coming in from all across the country. Fox 8's Floriana Boardman joining us now live. Floriana, you're very close to where all this unfolded. Describe the scene to us.
Absolutely.
It used to be a brick home. It used to be a brick home. They might as well just tear that down. They should tear that house down. Just completely remove it and tear it all the way down. That is insane.
Absolutely. Well, you can actually take a look at the house where this all happened. The front portion of the home is completely destroyed. You can see bricks everywhere, sheets, blankets, clothing falling out of the house. If you take a look up, you can see what looks like to be broken glass from bullet holes in those upper windows. It's just a reminder of the violent and tragic event that happened here. CMPD Police Chief Johnny Jennings says he can't recall anything worse that's happened in the Charlotte area. 2 of the 4 officers killed, Sam Peloche and William Elliott, worked for the state's Department of Adult Correction for 14 years. Peloche leaves behind a wife and 2 children. Elliott leaves behind a wife and 1 child. CMPD officer Joshua Iyer died last night after fighting for his life in the hospital for hours. He was a 6-year veteran with CMPD. Earlier this April, he was named the department's Officer of the Month. Iyer leaves behind a wife and a 3-year-old son. This is a loss the entire Charlotte community is mourning.
And the most that I can ask of our community is that we honor and respect them for all the work that they've done, all the work that we will do to make it possible for our city to be safer.
Absolutely tragic. Again, we don't know the identity of the deputy U.S. Marshal who was killed. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. For now, live in Charlotte, Floriana Boardman, Fox 8 News.
That look insane. And again, I'm going to say it again. I've always said it. I personally love and support police officers. They are the first responders for anything that goes wrong in your neighborhood. If you having any issues, and just think, they trying to get to the point to where they trying to send therapists and people to handle domestic disputes to people's houses when they get called, depending on the type of call that it gets. It's crazy. Prayer for their families. Again, make sure that y'all show respect to police officers because, again, they are the first responders and they are the first line of defense when things is happening in your neighborhood and stuff like that. It's unfortunate. It's very, very much unfortunate, but I guess that's just life. That's life inside the United States of America, huh?